Welcome to the Hab. Today, we are getting ready to celebrate Yuri's Night. We are the crew of High Seas Mission 5, an analog mission to Mars. The 6 of us are here to research crew psychology for long-duration space missions. We live as astronauts would on Mars, maintaining our habitat, working on our personal research, and studying our surroundings. For 8 months, our home is here in the high seas habitat on the slopes of Mauna Loa in Hawaii, in complete isolation.
Yuri's Night is an opportunity to stop and think about how cool it is that we send people to space on a regular basis.
It's an incredible feel to respect and to give appreciation to somebody from afar.
I also kind of like that the Americans are now celebrating coming second in something. That's cool.
And I think it's really important to take time as a community of people who are interested in space to enjoy each other, to celebrate together, and to remember why we do what we do.
It's the only time you get to party and think just about space.
Because it was a hell of an achievement.
The entrepreneur of space travel, we'll call it.
I mean, that must have been a mad thing to do, getting that first, one of the first spacecraft, basically.
That one act kind of got the ball rolling for, the careers of myself and my crew members. None of what we do now, everything in the news from SpaceX to what NASA's doing to European Space Agency, all of these actions were really started by this event.
That will forever be noted as a major step in human history.
It helps remind us of what we want as humans. We want to get along, we want to get to know our neighbors across the world.
The best thing about Yuri's Night is you're able to branch many people together from all over the world. Celebration of space.
I want to celebrate Yuri's Night with a party, of course.
Ideally, I'd like to have some beers, but we're not allowed beers.
No.
We don't have any alcohol. So I can't drink beer in here. So instead, I'd like to watch some old space footage. I think there's a lot of cooking that's going to happen. We're going to be making some biscuits, right?
Well, I hear there are cookies in the works.
Or not biscuits, some cookies, for you Americans out there, that are like Yuri Gagarin's head or something. So I'll probably just be eating them, thinking about space.
People should participate in Yuri's Night to celebrate human spaceflight.
You should celebrate just like human ingenuity, human adventure, and that kind of, that need to kind of climb over the next hill and just look and see what's there.
So being in high seas is a build-up towards going to Mars.
I think I feel more connected this year to the space community than I have in the past on Yuri's Night.
And so I tend to think that maybe there'll be a second style Yuri's Night for the first person to land on Mars.
We just wanted to say that for Jay and I, Yuri's Night is defined by one person who taught us a lot about space and actually introduced us to Yuri's Night originally. His working career was in Russia during the space race. He spent his retirement at the International Space University, pushing students to grow with his years of experience in the early days of spaceflight.
To have the opportunity to capture even just 0.5% of what he knew and his experiences was really exceptional.
He was always passionate about teaching students Russian space heritage, and he volunteered his holiday every year to take students to Moscow and show them behind the scenes.
I'm sorry, but no.
If I were to ask you to describe him, who was he to you?
He was always very surprising with his depth of knowledge. I can remember from our trip to Russia, we were at Energia, and he had seen one of the models he'd worked on as a graduate student. He started pulling back the panels and pointing out all the little electronics that he'd worked on. It was as if he had just finished working on it yesterday, although it had been several decades. And he literally just starts pulling it apart. And the guide that was with us just sort of stood back and let him, because of course who else is more qualified to take it apart than him, I also remember when we were at Star City, he was translating for the tour guide. And at the end of the translation, he would always add the facts that he knew that the tour guide had not covered. And I think by the end of the tour guide was taking notes from Professor Talarenko so that he could remember, the first flight we did like this, and all these, he was there.
He taught us that space can be the catalyst for peaceful cooperation between nations. His name was Nikolai Tolyarenko, and he was a huge loss to the space community. So this Yuri's Night, we'll be thinking of Nikolai Tolyarenko.